Hello, welcome. This is going to be a super exciting video here today. Put together a kind of a four-part video here. It's actually four sections here. And it's the how to have eager prospects calling and begging for next day appointments, four little known ways for driving traffic, leads, and sales. And as you'll see, this will open up your eyes and ears a lot to how you can improve your world drastically from where you're at today. And so without further ado, we're just going to dive into it, but we're going to start with something that you are very familiar with, a business card. And while that's a funny movie there, I remember that very well, Dumb and Dumber, it's not a fun matter or a funny matter when we deal with your business, because frankly, here's what we see. You're out there networking, you're out there speaking, you're engaging with your audience, whether from stage or from out in the audience, and what you do in your networking is essentially present yourself and your company, and then you hand them a business card, right? Very, very familiar scenario, very common, still used and effective if you do this right. And on there, you'll have your company, your name, of course, phone number, etc. Hopefully some interesting information, but there'll be a website link, right? So what do they do? When they come home or over on their device as they're looking at it, they are checking out your website. If you don't have a website that speaks to them, and as you'll learn here today, a website that performs, that actually gets them to take action and move towards becoming actually a client of yours or a customer, then you have done a poor job. And that's why this video was put together, to share with you what you can do today to get started. And so the question really then becomes, what makes a great website, and in specific, a lead generating website? And as you learn, a professional website is simply not enough. So let's take a look here briefly by looking at the web and how it's transformed itself. And we really speak about the web today as being very interactive and multi-channel. 10 years ago, you can see that the seller was in control. And while this is still used today, brochures, data sheets, white papers, etc., it's really just been added to by a self-service model to your right, where the buyer moves into the control area. And you now have website content, podcasts, screencasts, blogs, discussion groups, all these things that are new types of content that really puts your prospect into a kind of a leadership role in terms of being in control. So if you think about how this has shifted, it's really all because of buyer behavior, right? Because they want to consume information where they want, how often they want, and really without your involvement, right? It's really on their terms. And so if you're not there to try and position yourself, you need to really consider moving towards a authority-based, sort of leadership-driven web type of information and sites. And frankly, the information that we've seen and the research has been done is that this new type of marketing has created about a 62% less cost per lead compared to outbound or traditional marketing. This is huge. But really, in this video, we're going to talk about those four sections for being found, right? So let's do that and start by diving into section one. And we call this the Get Found Online. You may be thinking, yes, of course, but in truth, just by all the research that we've found and all the websites we've looked at, and certainly in your specific industry, in the professional services and consultants area, this is a kind of a sad state. So the first thing we're going to cover is search engine optimization, and we're going to give you highlights in each section, and we're going to dive in and give you tips so that you can actually take action on them. And as you'll see at the end, we'll have a specific reward for you as well for hanging out here and listening to this short video. And SEO is not very technical. You can work with your webmaster or adjunct webmaster to get that going. You need to have a long-term thinking. Short-term gains, we know what that is all about, right? It's going to be short-term. So highest returns over time, if done right, is the final point here. SEO, search engine optimization, where somebody's typing in your keyword or phrase for your business and finding you, and if done right, can have a huge return. In fact, research has shown that is the highest return over time. But it does take time. This is not overnight, right? So here's a broad list for SEO starter tips. You've heard this before. If not, then listen up. Create high quality educational or entertaining content. Make sure you have a blog and schedule content weekly, and it can be a website, and there's other CMS systems and content management systems that you can use, but get this going and set it up weekly. Write guest posts on other blogs can be very significant for creating that authority and leadership, plus drive traffic back to you. And of course, making sure that you're in the pertinent social media profiles for your industry, and often that starts with Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. Now, a little more specific here, and while I'm going fast here, you can replay this video anytime and give this to your webmaster as well. Just make sure that you research and choose keywords that is related to you and put those on each page, right? Use them in headlines and subheads, place them naturally with variations into your body, keywords in file names and pictures, and a big one here, think about your users first, search engine second. And again, I said it's not very technical. Some of it is, including keywords in title and meta descriptions. If you don't know what those are, the webmaster will. But this is a very good checklist and will get you started. And by the way, as I said, there's a reward for you at the end here for hanging out, and we'll make sure that you get that as well. And really, SEO is critical for your business. Now, in section 2, we're going to discuss good user experience and design. And first impressions matter, right? I mean, the first thing they're going to ask when they land on your page or website is, hey, is this company credible? Is this website credible? Does this feel trustworthy, professional? Is it stable? And also a big one here from sort of a psychological standpoint, does it speak to me? Does it make me feel welcome, right? And very important, did I land on the right website and page? People will click off in seconds if you don't meet that requirement. And we're going to dive in here and show you how to do these things, including some bad examples here as well, including some good ones. So a in-depth study was done here recently by the Stanford University and Consumer Web Watch, and that report from Stanford University was called How to Evaluate, or How People Evaluate the Website's Credibility. And there's a large study done here, and it found that a website's design was more important than credibility indicators such as privacy policy, awards, and certifications. And by the way, we're going to give you some tips here in a second, but if you'd like to just test out your website now without worrying about, I got to make all these changes, try a tool like usertesting.com or loop11.com. These are low-cost usability testing tools, and you can find out why websites leave your visitors. And in this space, there's several others, and there's many strategies, but that at least get you thinking about, why are they leaving? And in this business that you're in of networking and handshakes and being basically a face-to-face organization and personality, that's fine. But if you don't get your website in order and if you don't test these things, you will actually never know what you're missing. And that's a big deal, right? So here's some tips for you for good user experience. And again, this is not an in-depth, serious study of website design, but it will give you some ideas and some things to think about. For instance, colors is a big deal. If you have a very colorful website, maybe not the right place to go. We think less colors, and less is more in most of these cases, and that includes your materials and marketing materials and offline data as well. Flash, flashy and moving animation, all that. Keep that to a minimum. Avoid it if you can. A video is fine, as you see here, but this is a critical area where many miss out on opportunities because they're doing too much. Clear navigation, huge. They want to be able to find information on your site. This is beneficial for users, obviously, and search engines. Fonting, the sizes, the colors to match, everything is easy to read, very big deal. And make sure that your section headers and short paragraphs kind of tease and engage and doesn't overwhelm. People tend to scan and not read on the web, right? Bullet lists can really help that out. And so consistent page behavior as you move through is very important. And that you have pictures, of course. Interestingly enough, stock photography, people see images across so many websites that are familiar. They look kind of fake, right? More real pictures is better. If you can't, use stock photography, but sparsely. And of course, the compatibility across multiple devices and browsers, tablets, etc. is going to be very important. And by the way, there was some studies done on that stock photography versus real imagery, and marketing experiments, actually. It's a company you can search out there. They found that, photos of real people outperform the stock photos by 95%. And it's because stock images are kind of irrelevant and they look fake, as I said. So let's dive through to the next one here, which is section 3, great content. And I would say content is at the top. We like to focus on that because, in fact, it is the one that people will share. It's the one that tends to drive visitors back to you and turns prospects into real leads. And right now, people and search engines are looking for this, right? They're looking for this information, and if you provide it, well, so they will consume it, right? Very, very important. And great content offers, tips. We want to break this down into 10 hot tips for you. And in fact, doing this in your existing website environment is going to really help you to get that traffic and get people to respond to you in an authority way. But before you do that, ask this, right? There's really, this list is great. It's awesome. But if you don't really start with this question, will they know what to do within seconds, then nothing helps, right? Will they know what to do? Talked about the navigation a little bit, but there's more than that. Will they understand what page they're on and what it's all about? Will they know what to do next, right? It's one thing is to actually land on a page and see, I think this is relevant, but what do I do next? And why should they try or buy or subscribe or download from this site, or your site in this case, instead of somebody else, right? Now, one big thing here is testing, and Google has a free optimization tool. It's called the Google Website Optimizer, and there's tools like 5secondtest.com that can help with feedback and testing quickly. And when you look at all of this, we're going to go through in a second, many sort of tend to stop because, hey, I don't write, I don't have time to write. There's actually tools for bloggers and content writers out there, and we'll supply that for you as well down below. But really, that should not stop you. So make sure that you create headlines that speak to that particular page in question or pages. Use powerful value propositions. We see a lot of corporate speak, which nobody really understands and cares about except for the people who work there. Clear call to actions, and we're going to show you some examples of this. And as I said, next steps. Testing, we talked about it, the headlines, the offers. There's something called A/B testing, just to get a little technical with you, but that's the idea that you can test a page A against a page B, right? Which one is going to perform better for you? Well, you don't have to worry about it. These tools and Google Web Optimizer tools, as I mentioned, can do this for you and tell you which the winner is, right? Provide educational content, should be obvious by now, but create special ebooks, white papers, videos, video series, and think about how can I solve their problems? How to is the most interesting, intriguing, and highly performing kind of headlines and topics that you'll cover. And we like to see fresh content. So do users, so do search engines. Old stale content, I mean, you've seen it. If you go out there, it's a year old. It gives you a bad feeling, right? So connect with your audience, be accurate, factual, create that authority and trust by setting up and start blogging. And share that. Make those widgets available on your blog as you've seen it out there, and make people click on it and engage and tweet it and Facebook it and like it, etc. So we call that, just in general terms, socialize it. So if you do that, you're going to have a great strategy in place. And just to kind of finalize this content section, you want to leverage it, and you can do it through images. You can even take a text post and make that a video, audio, games, etc. And include stories and testimonials on your site as well. And that includes, of course, reviews. And for local, for instance, Yelp is a great thing, local directories, specific directories within a niche. But not just any directory out there. We see this all the time. Submit to 100 directories and you're good and rolling. That is a loser strategy. Do not do it. And by the way, some places you can go to get this out there is, of course, YouTube, iTunes for audio, podcasting, Yelp, SlideShare, DocStock, etc. And that's going to really help you to make sure that that content really breathes and gets consumed out there in multiple channels. Finally, in section 4, we're moving right along here. We're going to talk about how to improve conversions and making sure really that your visitor converts from a prospect into a lead. That's exactly what we want. And the way we can do that is with a strong CTA, and CTA stands for call to action. So here's some tips, right? Make it clear. Whatever you have, make that link or a button or an image, make it bold, strong, professional looking. Make sure that you want them to, make it look so that they want to click on it. Make it fun, make it interesting, and speak to them, right? And as I said before, on these pages and content pages in general, less can often be more, right? Simple works best, or often works best. You need to test it, and that includes the buttons, the placement of text, language, etc. And also think about the above fold segments. What's going above this, top portion of the screen essentially before you start scrolling. What does that copy look like? How does that layout work? And 6 there, ABT, always be testing. As I said, I keep saying that again and again. Too many times I talk with business owners who simply say, hey, we like this image, we like this moving image, we like this video. Because not only have we spent a lot of time and money on it, but our CEO loves it as well, when in fact that is all BS. The users are the one that need to like it, and you need to test it. So how's that for frank messaging, right? Enhance your thank you pages. We see this all the time. Enter your name and email, for instance, and the thank you pages goes nowhere, or it goes to just thank you and nothing else. You need consistent behavior and potentially provide more value there. Even add more downloads or videos that they can subscribe to and share. Specific landing pages are important. We call those lead capture pages. That's going to be pages that are very specific to that particular request, and you want to make those forms with, these are essentially fields that you put in there. Have it be less friction based. Many times we see, especially in this field you're in, a sort of name, address, city, state, zip, social security number, website, phone, fax, you name it, all of it in there, when in fact less fields are often better. You can nurture this over time and get that, but this is an awesome tip list for you to get started. So let's take a look at what really a bad landing page or a landing page with some poor CTA is. Here's one that essentially we don't know what this is about. That's the first thing. We're not sure. The free 2-week trial is hidden here. Too much text. Nobody's going to ever read that right. The screenshots are confusing and small and not very professional looking. No forms directly on this page to capture. The length of the page might be an issue. People ask us and ask me in specific, hey, how long should I have a text on the page? It's really this, and that is, how long is a piece of string? It depends. Please test. But we have a research that is done or must be done prior to make sure that you have a good shot first time out. So selling too much and features provide no value. Customer proof testimonials, this is missing. Very bad page. Now, a good page is this one. And if you have set it up to speak to the request, as I said, the searcher, the visitor, you need to make sure you tailor it. So that could be a little differently for this type of page in a B2C environment versus B2B. Here's box.net here. Very simple, clear, sign up button, top of fold, some short descriptions, great image use here. What the customers are saying, testimonials, and some strong client names here. Great page, great page. This is a good example of a highly performing page. So I hope that this has been useful for you, and really our intent here is to help you. You can watch this again. We see it too many times out in this space, and frankly it's very frustrating when you can actually take action and do some of these things right now. There is no reason for you to wait, and if you want to, you can get a free strategy session, and we'll provide a free guide for you to show you. And just your name, your email here is all we need. See, less friction, right? Just an email. There's nothing to buy here. There's no sales pitch here. We really just want to inform you, educate you, and get you up to speed. So hope you take action today. Enter your email, and we'll see you on the inside, and we'll make sure we get you that information. I hope you enjoyed this. I certainly had a lot of fun putting it together, and I made this for you. So take action. See you soon.